As India processes the horror, it must also ask a question. Did we not see this coming? Sources say the warnings were all there. Indian intelligence officials had warned about a hot summer in Jammu and Kashmir, which basically meant two things. First, increased ceasefire violations by Pakistan's army, and second, terror attacks in the Kashmir Valley. At least 70 foreign terrorists, 70 foreign terrorists are active in Jammu and Kashmir. This input was given by Indian intelligence. High-level meetings were held in March and April. The security situation was reviewed multiple times, and yet tragedy struck Pahalgam yesterday, despite all these warnings. So how did the terrorists manage to carry out such an attack? Were the warnings taken lightly? Was there a lapse in security? Only a full investigation will reveal the answers. Our next report has more.
The terror attack in Pahalgam has left India and the world in shock. Terrorists killed unarmed civilians at point-blank range. The attackers then fled. The Indian armed forces have launched an operation to track the terrorists down. But how did they manage to pull off such an attack? At the beginning of this year, Indian intelligence officials issued a stark warning. They said Pakistan was planning for a hot summer in Jammu and Kashmir. This meant two things. First, that Pakistan would increase ceasefire violations along the line of control. This would be done to provide cover to terrorists who would infiltrate to India. And second, terrorists would increase attacks on civilians in the Kashmir Valley. After the warnings, multiple high-level meetings were held in New Delhi. The first one was held in March, followed by another one in early April. Indian intelligence officials warned that at least 70 foreign terrorists were in the Kashmir Valley and that they were planning attacks on civilians. A few days later, terrorists attacked tourists in Pahalgam. But the build-up to this attack began about 2 weeks ago. The Pakistani army violated the ceasefire agreement multiple times. So the first threat assessment by the Indian intelligence agencies came true. And the ceasefire violations didn't stop. In fact, they only increased, forcing the Indian army to retaliate and launch combing operations to find traces of cross-border infiltration. However, some terrorists found a way to slip past the Indian security forces, leading to the massacre in Pehalgam. As India grapples with this horrific attack, Pakistan violated the ceasefire again on Wednesday. The Indian army retaliated and successfully foiled an infiltration bid, killing at least 2 to 3 terrorists. According to reports, these terrorists had direct links to Pakistan-based terror group Lashkar-e-Taiba. The Indian army has been deployed at large in the Kashmir region. However, Kashmir's topography and dense vegetation make security operations extremely challenging. Pakistan's ceasefire violations only add to the challenges. Despite the intelligence warnings, terrorists managed to carry out an attack in Pahalgam. Were the warnings not taken seriously? Not particularly. The Indian armed forces have been dealing with both Pakistan Army's cross-border firings and the recent rise in terror activities. So, was this a security lapse? Only a full investigation can reveal the answer. But right now, India is focusing on finding the terrorists who unleashed this mayhem on innocent tourists on Tuesday.
Greeting you with aloha and namaste.
I love India.
Presence, occupation of a territory by another country pertains to India, what we saw in Kashmir.
How do you see Trump's America?
Yes, the current administration behaves differently from the previous administration.
Are you saying that there are foreign powers who are trying to bring down the current government in Syria?
Exactly.
Iran, maybe Russia too.
Prime Minister Modi committed to South-South, cooperation.
Not over 50%.
Is Ukraine prepared to pay the price for that peace?
No compromises at the cost of territorial integrity and sovereignty.